Hello, welcome to episode 6 of my series of tutorials on title designs created using the Titles and Text media generator, which is native to both Vegas Pro and Movie Studio Platinum. In this tutorial, I'm going to recreate one of my designs that uses masks to enhance the text animation. The title background utilizes a special character font that adds to the elegance, and I've added an animated sparkle. This is the title I'll be recreating. As you can see, there's a lot going on, so I'm afraid the tutorial will be a long one. As usual, I've noted all the various parameters to aid me in the recreation and to reduce the tutorial length as much as possible. Please note that track motion parameters and frames per second values are correct for the PAL Full HD system. Users of other formats will need to modify the parameters to suit. For this title we'll need 7 tracks. As you can see, I've named all the 7 tracks with the elements that will occupy them. I'm going to start with the title background, and for this I need a color gradient. I'm going to choose the sunburst. I'll drag that down onto track 7. And I want to change the length to 12.09 seconds. Now, as you can see, that's a little bit bright, so I'm going to reduce that by changing the opacity. I'm going to drop that down to 68. There are other ways of doing that, but that's a simple way of doing it. Just make sure you don't put anything on the tracks below this, or they will tend to show through this one. I'll now go to the titles and text. And place the default preset onto track 6. I'll now change that length again to 12.09 seconds. Now if I select both these two, I can give them both a 1 second fade at either end. I think I'll zoom in a bit on that. There we go. Now this event will contain the decorative corners. For this effect you'll need the font Cornpop 3. Details of this font can be found in the tutorial description. Now I want this to be blue. And I want a shadow. The shadow offset will be 0.05. And again 0.05. I want the blur to be 0.09. Now I will just select the font. And make sure that the anchor point is set to top left. Now I need to type in these characters and 18 spaces. And J. Now I need to press enter and then enter again twice. Character L and then 18 spaces. And the character K. Now to get the borders in the right position, I need the Y coordinate to be 1. Now if I close that down, we can see that the corners aren't exactly equal on either side. I'll need to just change that location, the X location, and that's too much. That's better. Now for the animated line. I need a blue coloured event onto track 5. Pick solid colour and blue. Now I need this to be at the centre of these two events. So I've worked out that the start of the event should be on the 1 second 5 frame mark. So we're just not quite there yet. That's it. I can now open track motion for this event and make sure that lock aspect ratio isn't enabled. The cursor's already at the start of the event. I need the line to have a shadow, so I'm going to start by placing a check mark in the 2D shadow option, and I'm going to set the blur to 1. X value to 10 and the Y value to -10. Now I switch to the position, and I need to set the height at 10. And the width at 0. And the Y value depends on your title. In my case it will be 0. Now I want the line to animate in 10 frames. I'll cursor forward 10 frames and add a keyframe. At this point I want the width to be 1120. Now I need to repeat that in reverse at the end of the event. So I'll go to the end of the event, and as usual I come back 1 frame and add a keyframe. So at that point the line coordinates should be the same as at the beginning. So I will copy that keyframe and paste it there. Come back 10 frames and add a keyframe, and that keyframe should be the same as that keyframe. I'll now check the animation. Now for the main text. I'll get another titles and text event, place it on track 4. Now I need to change its attributes. In my case the font will be something called Old English Text, and that didn't work. I'll leave a link to where you can download this font from in the description. I need the colour to be blue. The size is 30. I need the location to be, the X location to be 0.43. I'll give it an outline. make the width 2. We'll also give it a shadow. And the text in my case will be now I need 2 more events like this one, so I will simply copy that and I'm going to mute that one. Now for the main text animation. I'll enable the animate button, which opens up the keyframe controller. Make sure that the cursor is at the start of the event. Now at the start of the event, the location will be 0.5 and 0.43. Now I want the text to start animating at 16 frames. This gives the line time to finish animating plus a few more frames. So I'll move the cursor to the 16 frame mark and add a keyframe. That doesn't look right. Let's put 16 in there. So that's going to be the start of the animation. I want the text to take 13 frames to complete its animation. So I'll move the cursor another 13 frames. And add a keyframe. At this keyframe, I want the Y coordinate to be 0.6. Now at the end of the event, I want to create that animation in reverse. So I'll go to the end of the event, come back 16 frames, and add a keyframe. At this keyframe, the location values will be the same as that of the first and second keyframes. So I'll come back to that one, copy, and paste. Now again, the animation takes 13 frames, so I'll come back 13 frames, and add a keyframe. Now this keyframe should be the same as this one, so I will copy that one, and paste it there. Now, to avoid the abrupt stop of the animation, I will just change this fade type to fast fade. That just gives it a bit of a curve on there, which should stop the animation being so abrupt. Okay, that's the animation for the main text. I just need now to mask it. So I will add a Bezier masking effect to it. Properties box has opened on the other screen, so I'll pull that across. Now I need to set the height of this mask to 0.18. And I need the location, the Y location, to be 0.415. As you can see at the beginning of the event, that mask completely covers the text. Obviously, the size of the mask will depend upon your title text. One last thing to do in the general options, put a check mark in the invert checkbox. That will make the text disappear. You can now check the animation. Now for subtext 1. I'll unmute this track and mute track 4. I have to modify these attributes slightly. The font needs to be Times New Roman. Change the size to 24. And the text needs to be Derbyshire. Location needs to be 0.50 for the X and 0.58 for Y. I'll just copy this event and put it on track 2 and mute it. Now for the animation. go to the start of the event. I have to make this text start animating at 37 frames. This will give the main text time to finish animating, plus a few more frames. So I'll go to the 37 frame mark. Again, I want this text to take 13 frames to complete its animation, so I'll go another 13 frames. At this keyframe, Y needs to be 0.44. Now, like the main text, I need to create the animation in reverse, but not at the end of the event. Because there's another subtext animation after this one, this reverse animation needs to have completed, ready for the next one. I've worked out that this animation needs to have completed at the 4-second 20 frame mark. At this keyframe, the location values will be the same as that of the first and second keyframes. As at the beginning, the animation will take 13 frames. And at this keyframe, the parameters will be the same as at this keyframe. Again, I will just alter this. Fade to fast fade. I'll just check that. Okay. Now I need to mask that text. Apply a Bezier masking effect onto it. And at this point the height wants to be 0.151. And the location needs to be 0.5 and 0.57. Put a check mark in the invert checkbox. And check the animation again. Okay, now for subtext 2. I'll just mute that one and unmute that one. Just tweak these attributes again. The text string needs to be 15th of August 2019. Reduce the font size a little bit. Now for the animation. I want this animation to start at the 5-second 4-frame mark. This gives the subtext one event time to finish animating, plus a few more frames. Again, I need a 13-frame animation. And I'll change the Y location to 0.44. Again, I need to create that animation in reverse at the end. I've worked out that this animation needs to have completed at the 8 seconds 8 frame mark. Again, come back 13 frames. Now for the masking. I'll just unmute these and see what it looks like. Now for the sparkle effect. I've obtained this a little ping, and I've included the link in the description. I need this event to start at 3 seconds 11 frames. And I need its duration to be 1 second and 18 frames. I'll try that again. Open up track motion for this event. First thing to do is size this sparkle and position it. So I need X to be minus 546.73. Y stays at 0. Obviously that depends upon where your line is on the title. My line is at 0, Y coordinate, so this sparkle stays at 0. The width is 11.71. And the height is 6.59. This is the start of the animation. The sparkle will increase in intensity before travelling across the blue line. And the time to increase the intensity is 2 frames. So I'll move the cursor 2 frames and add a keyframe. I can see that if you try and add a keyframe when the cursor is so close to the previous keyframe, it won't work. So I have to open the line out. Now at this point the width will change to 243.35. And the height will be 136.89. Now I'll go to the end of the event and come back 1 frame. Make sure that's come back 1 frame. Right, and add a keyframe. Now at this point the X coordinate will be 555.95. The width will be 11.71. And the height will be 6.59. I now need to come back 2 frames. Set X to be 559.95. The width will be 243.35. And the height will be 136.89. Check the animation. Well, I think you'll agree that's a bit of a marathon. If you have a dedicated titler such as Title Pro 7, the task is much easier. But for those not that fortunate, I've shown that it can be achieved with some patience and calculations. If you've found this tutorial useful, please consider subscribing to my channel. And as always, I welcome your comments. Join me next time for another animated title. Until then, bye for now.